Strategy Show. We have a 10-gamer to talk about on this Saturday afternoon. Already a early slate. We had 4 games. We had some actually okay contests. I am Jake Hari, as you guys know, joined by Josh Harris, I think making his debut with me on a Saturday show. What's up, Josh?
Not much. Today's the day. Today is the day.
Yeah, we got Eichled a couple nights ago. Who'd you play last night?
I had a pretty good lineup. And again, when they added the assists on that last Arizona game and knocked me out of the cash. But that's the one thing I wanted to say today, because I know not everybody's an MME player. There's a lot of single entry and 3 max players in here. And I'm one of those people, and I'm in a big downswing right now, but you just got to keep grinding, because downswings are going to happen, and they get even more amplified when you're a 1-3 lineup guy. It feels like you're always in quicksand, but you just got to keep going. It will turn, and tonight is the night.
All right. Well, I'm expecting some spicy takes today. Thanks for filling in for me yesterday. My power went down right after right after I got my top shot. I waited to open for a while, my moment. And so it went down 30 minutes, an hour after I got it. So I guess good timing, but had to skip out on the show. I saw you guys did an awesome job as always. The crowd loved you. They really liked the Cliffy Josh combo. So it makes me a little bit jealous. I'm feeling a little insecure about my role here, but we got 10 games.
Insecure, but you just shipped the $10 last night, and you got a big top shot card. So.
Yeah, it was a pretty good Friday. Yeah. Pretty lucky Friday. Yeah. So I think the Kadri one-off got me there late. I think he had an assist and a goal back to back. But yeah, sometimes you run hot. I was in a massive downswing. Basically all of NFL season, had a couple really close calls in showdowns and stuff like that, and ended up having a pretty terrible season. So I know the feeling. It's not any more fun as an MME guy, but when you are a single lineup guy and you're not getting anything back, I've gone through that too, and that is really difficult. So it's not great to lose 90%, but at least you're getting something back in MME is what I tell myself. I'm not going to lose all this money that I'm risking. So I see chat has just a lot of comments today. Cliffy's in chat. Tyler, a producer behind the scenes, chatting as always. Bobby Boom, what's up, man? Haven't heard from you in a couple weeks, so just nice to see that you're back in here. Hoff says he's taken down the early slate 5K to first. I did not doubt that. You've been taking down pretty much everything. So good luck to everyone on the early slate. And what do we got going on for today? We've got 10 games, but I want to quick talk about promo code college. Last day is tomorrow to use this. It's $4.98 for your first week of college basketball DFS. We have projections on the site for you to use right on time for March Madness. So again, this is going away after tomorrow, Sunday, the 28th. Once it turns to March, you will not have promo code college. So again, promo code college, $4.98 for your first week of college basketball DFS with Awesemo. As always, you can like the channel, but we would prefer that you subscribe to the channel. That's really what we're looking for. See, we're close to about 52,000 subscribers. We want to get that up to 75K relatively soon here, so your subscriptions matter a lot. And if you want to throw us a like as well, that makes Josh and I look good when we go through the numbers for the bosses. Let's get right into it. Let's talk about Pittsburgh and the New York Islanders. 2.7 implied total for the Penguins, 2.9 for the Isles. Tristan Jarry and Semyon Varlamov are your expected goals. We had an Isles night the other night against Boston, which was a little bit of a surprise. Just an explosion in the third. I think they had, I want to say 4 or 5 goals in the third period, 7 overall for these Islanders. Now get a pretty good matchup, I think, depending on how we think the matchups are going to go. But are you liking these Islanders again?
Yeah. I mean, we saw in the Boston game, they kept the Barzal line away from the Bergeron line. So if you think that holds true, they're going to see either the Malkin line or the Teddy Bluger line, which both have been a bit iffy defensively. And it looks like Jared McCann's up on that second line with Rust and Malkin. Is that what you have?
Let me see here. Yes, I've got him as a game time decision. I forgot to mention that up top, but yeah, he's expected to be on line 2 with Malkin and Rust.
Yeah, so it was Zach Aston Reese last game, and as Cliffy noted in the last show, Zach Aston Reese is a very good defensive forward. So McCann's probably a little bit step down defensively there. So even if Barzal's going into the Malkin line, I still like Islanders 1. Like you beat a dead horse with the Islanders 1. Like no matter what slate it is, you're going to have Islanders 1.
Yeah.
But they're not overly expensive. They're fully correlated power play 1. Like you're going to want to have some in MME for sure. So if that's the case, right, definitely going to have some in MME. The JG Pajot line is going to be going against Crosby. So I'm not a huge Pittsburgh Penguin fan. Like it's very on the record, but this Crosby line is definitely something I want some exposure to in MME. 1 to 3 lineups I'll probably fade, but even in 20 max I'll have a little bit here. Like the Crosby Gensel combo is an elite combo, and you get the power play 1 correlation, so you can do that as well. The second line is a bit more expensive now. Rust's price is up to $7,300, but if you want to, have a little bit of cost management, you can put in McCann for $2,500 if he's in. This is an early game, so we're gonna have lines hopefully. Again, it's probably just going to be Pittsburgh 1 in MME, Islanders 1 in MME. Maybe even in my single lineup, I'll consider Islanders. I have not built yet. I would stay away. Maybe I'd have like 1 or 2 if I was 150 maxing from doing the Penguins power play stacks. Like the Islanders are just one of the best defensive teams in the league. They don't take many penalties. So, I mean, you might get some leverage if you do and they take a couple penalties, but it's not something that I am looking to do. Maybe I'll sprinkle it in. And then this Islanders second line, fully correlated power play 2, I'd have a little bit in MMA as well. But I'm mostly under the field in this game, except for the Islanders top line and probably the Crosby line in MME.
Yeah, I'm right there with you on both sides here. So top lines for each team, when I'm going up against the Islanders, like they just have, there's not really many weaknesses, like 2 strong lines in their top 6. Third line has been playing well. And so when it's an elite line going up against the Islanders on a big slate, and I think it's an elite duo, you mentioned Crosby Gensel with Kapanen 4,100. Their ownership is a little bit higher than what I thought, but I still got to almost double digits on them, which is pretty high. I mean, I'm only going to have probably 4 or 5 lines at more than 10% in MME. I don't think they're a priority for me, talking about Pittsburgh still. But definitely a team that I'll be decently exposed to in MME. And then Islanders 1, they are a priority for me, I think, across the board. You mentioned the full correlation for the Isles top line. Going to get a quality matchup at 5-on-5 against the Malkin line and the third line, and they're just amazing at even strength. So, you never have to convince me on Islanders 1, especially when they're at home and they get to decipher the matchups for the most part. The defensemen would just be correlation guys for me. Pulak with Isles 1, Letang with Pittsburgh 1, but I really don't see myself getting to a lot of these defensemen on either side. Maybe some Scott Mayfield and Mike Matheson as one-off guys for 3,500 apiece. Anything else in this game?
No, Dobson's price has dropped. I know he hasn't been great recently.
Your guy.
He is my guy. Yeah. He's 3,700. If you need the little savings, if you're trying to jam in another mid-price line with Islanders 1, I think you can go Dobson. But I do prefer Pulak in the Islanders 1 stacks. But if you need the space, Dobson. And I'm on board with you with Matheson. His price is teetering to the point where it's like, it might fade, but he's still okay at 3,500.
All right. We got a super chat, 2 super chats, right? As I said, we got one. We just got another one. We'll just get the one out of the way that we always get. Clayton, just very generous as always, giving a $5 super chat. He says, I'm playing 6 lineups tonight, including a 3 max. What is your starting point to narrowing your player pool? That is an interesting question. Do you have a response for that?
On a big slate like this, 10 games, right? So I have to go through every game, and I'm obviously prepping for the show. So like I have to go through all the lines and all that stuff. But like when I'm going through, I'll write the lines down that I really like. And even if it is like 7 or 8 lines, like that I really like.
That's what I do. I do this exact same thing. I write it on my little Post-its here.
Yeah. So like I'll write down the lines that I really like. And even if it is 7 or 8, like at least like you're going through the 10 games, there's tons of lines. You already narrowed it down to 7 or 8, right? So then after that, you kind of fool around with building the lineup, see what fits together, see what doesn't. You check out the ownership projections, making sure you're not jamming in chalk with chalk. Mm-hmm. So like that's kind of what I do. And then what I like to do is like on my favorite lines, I'll see what is available, like with the power play quarterbacks. Like, can I fit this line with that line with this power play quarterback? Like stuff like that. Like I just it's tricky, right?
Yeah.
So, like
sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I mean, I don't like try to really narrow down my pool that much just because I'm making so many lineups. But when I am going through, I am usually handpicking lineups from my MME builds and putting those into like my 3-max stuff. So like when I go through and write down all the lines that I think I should have exposure to in multi-entry, I'll put like a star or circle lines that I think are priority lines. So like Islanders 1, for example, circled for me tonight. Like I want to have, if I'm doing a 3-max I'm playing 3 lineups in the 333, like that would be a team that, or that would be a line that I would want to have at least one lineup of in like the higher dollar 3-max single entry stuff. So,
and I will say, like, you're probably going to have some uncomfortable fades. Like it's just going to happen.
Right.
So,
it's tough to play 3-max. It's tough to play single entry on a big site like this. A lot of options.
Only so many lines you can get in doing even 6 lineups, right? So you're going to have some fades that you don't want to fade, but you have to, like, especially if you want to not like concentrate yourself on 1 or 2 lines, but you want to be a bit similar, but you don't want to be too different. So like you don't want to spread yourself too thin. So you're going to have tough fades tonight. Mm-hmm. Like it's on big sites, it just happens if you're not playing 150 lineups.
Yeah, you might have 6 lines that you really want to play, but I mean, you might only be able to jam 1 or 2 of those together, and then you're gonna have some teams that you just don't get to, some lines that you don't get to. So hopefully that helps you out, Clayton. If you got any questions, you're in the Awesemo Slack. Just DM us. I'd be happy to help you out, and maybe point you in the right direction if that didn't help as much as you wanted it to. Other super chat, Scoops Cody, another. I'm assuming it's Scoops Cody, like from the Levitard show, but I could be wrong on that. Maybe it's Scoops Coat. New to NHL DFS, he says, but 10x last night. Thanks for all the content and the tips and the news in Slack, guys, he says. Yeah, the news is a big part. I don't think it was a very news-intensive slate last night. There were a couple pieces that came in later, I think. But yeah, Slack's the place to be. Awesemo.com/join. If you guys want.
I like winning, but I love to see subscribers win too.
Yeah.
Like I generally root for everybody. I'm not one of those people who likes to root against people. I like rooting for people, especially our subscribers.
Yeah, we've got a really good group in our NHL Slack, especially. It seems like a pretty small group, but a lot of guys tend to contribute. Sharp people, sharp content creators, sharp subscribers. It's just a really good mix of people. And, you know, we're nice to new people. Everyone's nice to new people, which is what I like. You know, when people ask questions that might seem obvious, no one's going to call you out. People are willing to help, which is what we like to see. And some winning screenshots at all levels going around. We're under 2 hours to crunch 150, Larry. Yeah. I think under, but depending on how many rules, I don't know. You might play with a bunch of rules like some other people that we know, but I don't have too many rules, I guess. So usually it takes me like 20, 30 minutes on this slate to get what I want, but I've got a handful of different builds that I need to get to. Okay, we've only got through 1 game because some people were very nice with super chats and YouTube Slack. So I'll pick it up here. Stars, Lightning, 2.3 implied total for the Stars, 3.1 for the Lightning. Udovin and Vasilevsky. Big news for the Lightning is that Anthony Cirelli looks like he is returning, as is think Chernak was out for a while. He's 3,200. Not a game that I'm overly interested in. I noticed myself getting to some Tampa Bay in my first few runs through things. What do you like here, Josh?
I like the Tampa top line, Palat, Point, Coleman. They're probably going to go up against the Pavelski line, I would imagine. I would think. That's just my assumption. And I think this is a good spot for them. Blake Coleman up on the top line. He's still only 4,400. I really like Blake Coleman. Like, he doesn't get power play one time, but he's someone that I don't leave off on a quality line like that. So, yeah, Tampa 1, definitely for me. I'm kind of off the second and third lines for Tampa now that they kind of jumbled their lines. I don't mind having one off Stamkos or a two-man like Stamkos Killorn for the power play, because Killorn is 3,500, and that's very manageable. But full line Tampa 1 for me, and I'm probably going to be under the field on Dallas. I will take if I was making 20 or 150 lineups or anything in between, I definitely take some stabs in MME on the Dallas second line. Ben Hintz, as long as he's in, and Gurionov. They're all fully correlated on power play 1. But for the most part, this is a Tampa 1 game for me, and I'm probably going to be under on Dallas.
So Hintz is, I think, officially a game time decision. It sounds like he's going to be good to go. Did we get lines? Is it supposed to be Hintz with Ben and Gurionov? I'm assuming so.
I assume, because Hintz usually plays with Gurionov. They're at least, that pair will at least be together. It could be Ben, Pavelski, Kirivanta, but
yeah, I'm thinking it might slide down. Faxa probably going to slide down if Hintz is in. So I'm guessing it'll be Faxa with Cogliano and Como. Those guys tend to spend a lot of time together, but we'll see. I mean, Dallas isn't a team I'm overly targeting, but if Hintz is in late, I think always an opportunity to get a really low owned combo, a line that has played pretty well together.
Especially on Saturdays.
On Saturdays, is that their day?
No, like getting low on combo on Saturdays, because there's there's UFC tonight. There's a whole bunch of like other sports. So like it kind of happened a couple Saturdays ago with the new Nashville lines when Granlund, Forsberg, and Arvidsson were together. No one had them as a combo. Like, they're all under 2%. So this could be a similar situation.
Yeah, for sure. So a little bit of Dallas, a little bit of the Tampa top line for me, but one of the lower total games on the night, 5.5, shaded towards the under. I don't have much on the defenseman side either. If you got anything, feel free to chime in. Otherwise, we can move on.
Yeah, no, if you're correlating, Klingberg and Hedman makes sense, but 6,900 for Hedman's a bit pricey, but it's more of a correlation play for me. If you have the space for one off, that's fine, but I'm kind of off Sergachev. He's a little too expensive for me. Chernak, if he's back, 3,200, I don't mind him. And my boy Jamie Alexiak, also 3,200 if you need a defenseman.
All right, let's go to Carolina and Florida. 3.1 implied total for the Canes, 2.9 for the Panthers. It is going to be Reimer and Bobrovsky as your goalies. Jesper Fast up on the top line with Aho and Svechnikov. I believe they're keeping the second line intact. And then Stahl is the second line swapped around
in on the second line, and then Niederreiter down with Stahl and Fogle.
Okay. I mean, is Carolina a team like what does that do for you if those lines are what you said? Like, are you just off them entirely?
Yeah, because I wanted to play Niederreiter, Trocheck, Netchus, because they're going to get the Wenberg, Vetrano, Hornquist line most likely. So with Brock McGinn there, Brock McGinn's a nice player, but I definitely prefer Nino Niederreiter to be there. Just power play 2 with Netchus. But I don't know. So this also changed the dynamic with Huberdeau up with Barkov and Verhaeghe, because when Duclair was up there, that top line was like just great defensively. So, like Barkov and Verhaeghe are still there, but with Huberdeau there, it's probably going to be pretty high event. So I do like this top line for the Panthers. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a huge fan of going into Aho, Svechnikov. So this is more of an MME type deal for me. Probably a couple, underweight on the Panthers here, underweight on I'm probably just going to be underweight on this game, to be honest. Like, if I'm going to go anywhere in this game, it's probably going to be the Panthers power play again. Like, we say it every time. I also have some Hurricane power play stacks because Bobrovsky, he has not looked good. So I don't mind an Aho, Svechnikov, Trocheck, Dougie type deal, but more likely than not, I'm probably going to be underweight on this game.
Yeah, I like the 2-mans for the Hurricanes once we get those lines confirmed. This is a 7 Eastern start. There's a bunch of them tonight. So people will be scrambling, and probably not a lot of people will get the correct combo. So if you do, you like Carolina, I mean, pretty good implied total here. Aho and Svech are probably going to be together. You could do some sort of power play stack if you're worried about scrambling at lock as well. And then Florida power play, yeah, we're like a broken record with that. But, I play a lot of Hornquist because he gets low ownership, projected low ownership. He usually comes in relatively low. When he's 6,100, he's not like crazy underpriced. And then I like that a lot of people will just play him with Wenberg as his even strength line mates, and not that many people play him with Barkov. And so you can go Barkov, Huberdeau with Hornquist. The Florida line changes don't change a ton for me. Just even less Wenberg with no Huberdeau there. You could go Vetrano, Hornquist if you wanted a 2-man there. But once again, Barkov is going to be the guy that's basically on all my Florida lineups, and then just kind of a rotating cast of Huberdeau, Verhaeghe. I'll have some full even strength line of Florida 1 plus Hornquist getting mixed in a lot.
Cliffy just gave us a little update. He said, confusion with Carolina lines as a beat writer had projected lineups with Nino and Carolina 3, but the coach said no changes to last game's lineup.
Yeah, I never know if they're just talking about, all right, are we dressing the same 18 guys, or are our lines going to be the same? Like there needs to be like a different vernacular for like the differences between those two. Cause like, that's great that the same 18 are playing, but how are they going to be formed when they're skating together?
So we talked about the new lines, right? So if it goes back to the old way, just real quickly, because I know we got more games to get through, that will put me more onto Carolina 2.
Okay.
For sure. If Niederreiter's with Trocheck and Netchus, because they avoid Barkov for Hagee, they'll get the Wenberg line most likely, and that is not great.
Yeah, I mean, it's a more complete line there. If no McGinn, you got Netchus and Niederreiter, both guys that can score goals, that shoot quite a bit. Trocheck, a good play driving center as well. So I would agree with you there. If that line is intact, I like me some Carolina too. Let's go to Toronto and Edmonton. 3.2 implied total for the Leafs, 3.3 for the Oilers. I think I had these totals flipped, so I'm not sure what it is on the screen. I've got it flipped. I think the site that we get them from actually had them flipped. So, not going to blame myself for copying down the wrong totals. But in Alex's model, it is 3.3 for the Oilers, 3.2 for the Leafs. It is Campbell. It's probably going to be Mike Smith. They've been rolling with him for a while. I think he's coming off a shutout in Vancouver. No Austin Matthews for the Leafs. That's the massive news of this game. I'm not sure that that's going to kill them defensively. It's already a big total against them, but offensively, that is certainly going to hurt. Tavares and Nylander have not really gotten going. We think it's going to be Tavares with Marner and Thornton on the top line. They are getting Thornton, Hyman, and Muzzin are all expected to play, but you don't have the top scorer. I think he's the top scorer in the league, if not top 3. Maybe a couple guys in Edmonton are higher than him so far. But anyways, do you like anything on Toronto? And then where do you stand on the Oilers tonight? Because they're going to have ownership, and they are, they're very expensive.
Yeah. On the Toronto side, I mean, not really, just because the Tavares, Thornton, Marner line is going to get McDavid, and that's bad news. And then these depth lines, we don't really know who's going to be with who. Tavares is not going to be with Nylander. Hyman, we don't know. I mean, maybe someone tweeted out the lines, but like, it's just not going to be.
They skated yesterday.
Yeah, it's just not going to be what it is when Matthews is in the lineup, right? So for me, this is all about the Oilers. I'm going to be underweight on Toronto for sure. If you want to take, obviously, if you want some Tavares, Marner, Thornton in MME, even though they're going into McDavid, I think you can do that just because the Leafs, the one thing they do is score. Even though Matthews is their best scorer, I think, they still can do some damage because it is the Oilers. But yeah, Edmonton won for me for sure. They're expensive. Like they're like McDavid's 9,200 now, getting into a price range where like he should be priced. Like Matthews was 9,300 tonight. He's out. So like I like seeing that DraftKings is putting the price up to the point where you actually have to think about it instead of just like clicking the name and finding pieces to put in with them. So like the McDavid Nugent Hopkins combo is, 16-4. If you want to go McDavid and Draisaitl, you're at 17-5 already. If you put in Nugent Hopkins there, you're pushing 25,000. So like you got to get real creative if you're going that route. So I think the best bet for Edmonton is put Puljujarvi in there. Do the full Edmonton one. You hope Puljujarvi sees a couple minutes on power play one. They rotate with, Chiasson and God knows who else. Like I think Yamamoto even got some time. Neil, when he's in, gets some time. Like I don't know why they just don't put Puljujarvi on there. But yeah, Edmonton won full line for sure. You want to use some Draisaitl. You want to mix in Draisaitl. It's fine if you have like a really cheap line that you like. But for me, really, I'm all just Edmonton won. Everything else, I'll probably be underweight. I'll maybe have some Draisaitl, but that's really about it.
Yeah, and our ownership has we're too low on Edmonton right now. We ran this earlier in the day before Matthews was announced out. That's going to change some things. Colorado won, also going to be popular, but I think Edmonton's going to rival them as the highest owned line of the night, and I definitely agree with that. I'm trying to jam in as much Edmonton as I want as much as I can. When they're this expensive though and expected to be pretty popular, it's just one of those things. You got to find lines that people aren't going to be on. Find a line that's at 1% projected ownership compared to the one that everyone's going to jam with them that's projected at 5%, aka your Minnesota 2 last night. It's not always going to work out, but you make ownership plays like that and just avoid the chalkiest of the chalky combos with Edmonton 1. So that's what I'll be doing. I would love to get to them in half my lineups. I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to be more like a fifth of my lineups or so.
Yeah,
I'll try to mix in some Draisaitl. Just gets very pricey if you go McDavid, Nugent Hopkins, and Draisaitl plus Tyson Barrie.
Yeah, Barrie's 6,500. Like if you're trying to power play stack, like I don't even know if it's possible unless you use Jason.
I think. Let's see. So I'm going to put these guys into the lineup builder right now.
Yeah.
So if you put in the top 4, you have $3,760 remaining. With
you got a punt goalie then, and then you're probably looking like almost min price.
Yeah, so you would have to go with like Dubnyk. I think he's really cheap. He's 71. He's not even that cheap, but you could do it. You could do it. You almost at that point just put in Chiasson. There was something. Oh, if you wanted to get a little crazy and go with the Leafs depth, I think. Like their depth isn't great, but I think it's a lot better than Edmonton's. So like if you want to pick on, the Gaten Haas's of the world, Josh Archibald's, Jakar Kara, if you wanted to go with like Engvall, Mikheyev, 2-man stack, that is crazy cheap.
Yeah.
His rates have been pretty good. His shot attempt rate. So he's a guy I'm targeting a little bit this evening.
Yeah.
Anything else here?
I'm trying to look at these defensemen. If Muzzin's in, like 4,700, it's not too bad as a one-off. If you have that space, he's their best email. Riley is just a correlation play.
Yeah.
So really, that's about it. Like Barrie, if you can fit him in with your power play ones. Nurse, if you're not like using Edmonton and you want a one-off in that range, I think is fair. But other than that, defensemen in this game really don't do too much.
All right, Red Wings, Blackhawks, 2.5 implied total for the Wings, 3 for the Hawks. Subban and Bernier / it's not Grice, I don't think. I haven't heard from Grice in a while. Anyways, Detroit goalies, it's a 10-game slate. It doesn't matter. Kurashev with DeBrincat and Kane, and then Larkin with Mantha on the Detroit side. Fabry expected to play with them at 5-on-5. We'll see how that sticks, if that sticks. 2 top lines, I think, are the things we need to hit on here. Do you have a preference one over the other? And then what do you think with Kurashev, with DeBrincat and Kane? Is that a good trio, you think?
I prefer I was like, man, I prefer the Red Wings tonight of top line to top line here, just based off price, right? And the Wings have been pretty good defensively, and this DeBrincat, Kane, Kurashev line has, not been great defensively. The Hawks have been leaking a little bit here. This game to me in a 1-3 lineup is probably a pass, but in MME, I think there's definitely some spots where you can take advantage of here. Definitely Detroit won. And I don't mind having DeBrincat Kane combos. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I think it's a nice way to get a bit contrarian from your Edmontons, from your Colorados. Like, if you want to leave off Kurashev, that's fine, and put him in with like a Soderberg. I think, for the power play correlation, you can do that. Honestly, my favorite play from the Blackhawks side is Kubalik. I wish he was on power play 1, but I think he's a good one-off. Dude just shoots the puck, scores. I mean, he's on with your boy Hagel and Walmark, but that line is a bit rough. But like, they're gonna see the depth of the Red Wings, which is equally as rough. So like, I don't mind, like, because Walmark and Hagel are both 2,900 and Kubalik is 4,600. So if you need a cheap filler, I know you don't see much power play time, but Chicago 2 is not a bad play tonight in a deep MME. But other than that, Wings 1, DeBrincat, Kane, combos, and Kubalik. But other than that, I'm probably underweight on this game.
I wanted to get to a lot of Detroit. I think I will get to maybe close to double digits on them, but it's not going to be a major stand because we're expecting their ownership to be pretty high. One of the higher filler lines of the night, at least when it's 11,000 for Larkin and Mantha against the Blackhawks. Now, they haven't been terrible defensively as we've seen in years past, but still not a defensive juggernaut. 2.5 implied total for the Red Wings is actually pretty high, or at least like close to average for like a home game.
Like, it's concentrated, right? Like, it's not like you're going to see like
it's like with Buffalo too.
Score a bunch of goals. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the same deal with Buffalo. They always have low totals and they're highly owned, but it's because when they score 3 or 4 goals, it's like, who has to score for that to be the case. So yeah, some Detroit for me for sure. Blackhawks, I'm not really that heavy on them. I think on lineups where I do have one-offs, Kane is going to be a target for me. You mentioned the Kane DeBrincat 2-man. I'm just getting to Edmonton, I think, a little bit more. So they're getting kind of squeezed out for me tonight, I think.
It's been quite the week, as Cliffy just pointed out. Like, I've touted Jeff Carter 3 times. I prefer the Red Wings in this game. Like, it's just been a crazy week of hockey.
Well, I mean, I just touted Zach Hyman with Engvall and or actually, I don't even know if Hyman's on that line, but like Engvall and Mikheyev. So I'm not too much better.
Someone in the chat says, you're not even going to mention Sam Gagner coming off the hat trick. I'm not playing.
No. That was intentional.
Yeah.
All right, we have to pick it up here. We've got about 20 or so minutes. But first, I want to point out we've got NHL projections for free today. If you're looking to get behind the paywall and you haven't quite made the leap just yet, NHL projections are free. I'll be working on those for the rest of the afternoon, and we'll have those posted, updated a handful of times before lock. NBA rankings also free. We've got NBA shows coming on later, deeper dive, live before lock. You know the deal. UFC, if you're playing UFC today, the pro plays are free. So go check those out. That's just a little taste of what you get from behind the paywall. And then if you go over to Twitter, if you don't have a Twitter yet, I don't know how you don't, but at Awesemo_com, we're approaching 30,000 followers. We're giving away 30 free weekly passes. And if you follow us, you've got a chance to win one of those free weekly passes. So give us a follow over there. Help us reach 30K. All right, Minnesota hosting the Kings, 2.3 implied total for the Kings, 3.1 for the Wild. These two teams played last night. It's going to be Cal Peterson, probably, and then Kakinen confirmed for the Wild. The Wild spanked them very early, just got up 3-0 immediately, and was pretty much smooth sailing from there. Cam Talbot lost the shutout. Shout out to Jeff Carter for scoring. Cliffy's boy, I think that shutout, I think, would have buried me last night. So thanks to Carter for scoring in the 58th minute of the game. You like anything here, Minnesota 2? I know they're your kryptonite, but
this is a big slate. They're on a back-to-back. Like, both these teams are on a back-to-back. They played last night. I want to be underweight on this game as a whole. We saw it play out yesterday. I guess these second lines, right? If you need some fillers, like in deep MME, like Andres Anthony is back up on the second line. Kempe's down to the third line. So that second line of the Kings, here we go again, is fully correlated power play too. They're so cheap, right? So like if you need a cheap filler for your Edmontons, for your Colorados, for your Kane, DeBrincat stuff, like Velarde's 3,300, Anthony is 2,900, even Carter's manageable 4,500. Like I want to be under the field on this game for sure because it's just a back-to-back 10-game slate. There's other spots I want to go, but these second lines, I don't mind if you want to take a stab or two in MME.
Yeah, not crazy about either of the top lines. I think they're going to face off against each other. I don't see Minnesota changing up much of what they did last night. And last night they saw Eriksson Ek against the Kopitar line. So, I don't like to say that lines cancel each other out, but both pretty strong defensively on a big slate here. Probably going to be going elsewhere for the overwhelming majority of my lineups. Athanasiou on line 2 for the Kings, like that makes them even worse defensively.
Oh yeah.
If they could get there. Yeah. So they went to that last night to kind of shake things up. And so that's putting me on some Minnesota too. I'm going back to, I'm not really a believer that in like Rask or Zuccarello. But Zuccarello has been much better than I've given him credit for, just in terms of like producing, like getting points. Yeah. And so like Kaprizov, Zuccarello, 2-man. I'm not going to say that Rask is like Wenberg, but he's closer to Wenberg than Eichel, like he's just not great. 3,400. If you want to include him, that's fine. He's been getting a bunch of assists. He's actually been shooting a decent amount. So I don't want to bash him too much, but I like Kaprizov, 4,300. If you're one-offing, that would be a guy. Like he's just a highlight waiting to happen. This guy, like, have you watched much of him? We probably don't have a lot of time to talk about it, but have you seen him?
Oh yeah, he's insane. Like he should be the front runner for the Calder right now. Yeah. I would imagine. But
he looks unbelievable. So like the shot rates aren't amazing, but like the playmaking ability is. I mean, it looks like it's already there for him. And I think he's actually pretty old, right? He's like a 24, 25-year-old rookie.
He's an older rookie, but
yeah. So
24 is still young in hockey.
Yeah, for sure. Defenseman here, Minnesota. You've got all 6 defensemen, it feels like, play on the power play for them. They would just throw out a full defense power play unit if they could, I think. But Dumba's going to be the one that I'm going to a little bit as a one-off guy, and then probably going to take, Suter or Spurgeon with Minnesota too, because they split power play time pretty evenly between the 2 units.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to the Minnesota defenseman, if you have a preference, you play that preference. Like, it's whoever's playing well. So if you like one of them more than the other ones, play him.
Yeah. My computer's kind of freezing up on me. Do you know how many minutes off the top of your head Olli Mata played last night? He's 3K and he's on Doughty's.
I would imagine close to 20, if not over.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's a fine punt. Matt Roy's a fine punt. Sean Walker, if you're using LA2. But other than that, yeah. No.
All right. Yeah. So I think he's going to be fine. If he's playing on Doughty's pairing, then he's probably locked in for 20 plus at the very least. Let's go to the Avs and the Yotes. 3.1 implied total for the Avs, 2.3 for the Coyotes. Grubauer and Ranta are your expected goalies. Coyotes shook it up yesterday. Went with Schmaltz, Brassard, and Keller. Dvorak with Garland and Kessel. Just a lot of trash and a 2.3 implied total. Coyotes are nothing more than fillers for me. I don't even know if these lines are going to stick. They had a nice effort last night in the third period. Almost, made it a game there. I think it ended 3-2 with 2 late goals. But, yeah, I mean, Colorado one night, where do they rank compared to Edmonton one for you?
Yeah, so I was real quick. Cliffy said 21 minutes for Mata last night. So
okay.
He's on the Doughty pair for sure. They're under Edmonton for me just because they played last night. But, the depth, the lines that we're going against are just bad. Like the Krause Pitlick line, like, yeah, I want to play them even though they're back-to-back on the road. Like, so they're definitely one of my favorite plays tonight. Landeskog a little bit snake bitten last night. He should have scored, I think. Mm-hmm. So maybe he has some depressed ownership. So again, I feel like a broken record, but with these elite lines, play the full line if you can. Don't leave them off if you don't have to. If you want to even put them in with Kadri, like that 4-man is that, like, power play stacking the Avs is way easier than power play stacking the Oilers tonight. So if you want to go that route, I think that is in play. Yeah, but Colorado power play. Maybe I'll sprinkle some Dvorak Garland if I was if I needed a couple lineups in the 150 and I just wanted some Yotes, that'd be the play. But on the Yote side, but other than that, it's Colorado for me.
All right. I mean, I like Colorado again here, but it's just like I don't know. I want to play some expensive defensemen, one in particular that we'll get to. I think that's the last game. Brent Burns, you might have heard of him before. And so I'm not getting to a ton of Colorado. I feel like that might be a mistake. So I probably am just going to end up forcing, at least like 5 to 10% of them in my lineups. Like they haven't had a ton of big blow up games, and I just feel like one of them is coming, and the pricing for them overall is not that prohibitive when you've got Landeskog for 5,500. So I will force some Colorado one, and I try not to force things too much and more let the projections and the ownership do the work. But this feels like a spot where I should definitely have some on a 10-game slate.
The Awesemo tools absolutely love them tonight.
Yeah.
They're the top 2% stack at like 23%, second highest leverage on the slate. So maybe that gets updated, but they're still going to be way up there. So
yeah, I mean, man, I can't not have Colorado one tonight. So if I'm underweight on them, I'll probably just throw them in one of the higher single entry tournaments or something on DraftKings to get some extra exposure that way in case they do go nuts. Because I do like them here, and I hate Arizona. So yeah. I'm just going to end up limiting all my Arizona and my MMEs. I don't know if I'll cross anything off, but it's pretty ugly on their side against a very good defensive team in the Avs.
Because Brad Richardson isn't there, right?
Well, I mean, yeah, when you don't have goats like Brad Richardson getting 4 goals, it's hard to compete with that. So kind of an unfair comparison by you. Let's go to the Golden Knights and the Anaheim Ducks. 3.3 implied total for the Knights, a 2.1 implied total for the Ducks. Wow. Fleury and Gibson are your expected goalies. Gibson is 6,600. Just get that out of the way. He's going to see volume. It might be a very dangerous volume, but he's going to see volume, and he's got a realistic chance at a win because he has got kind of an NHL team in front of him. But yeah, and then Vegas on the other side, their lines stink. I guess my favorite one is probably the Carlson Marchessault Nick Roy line, but I have no clue what to do with Vegas outside of just kind of sprinkling them in and treating them like more a Columbus type team tonight. Yeah.
So Gibson being 6,600, it paid off last night. Georgiev was 6,600 against the Bruins. They won that game. So, I mean, like, Gibson's a bigger name than Georgiev for sure. So, like, I would imagine he's going to be popular tonight, but for that price, why not, right? Definitely have to have some exposure in MME. Maybe even 1 to 3 lineups, so you can have them in 1 or 2. I wouldn't go all in on them for sure, but because chances are the Knights win this game. But you said it, like, these Vegas lines are just weird, right? It don't make sense to me. If Alex Tuck was on the top power play, I'd definitely be on that Tuck Stevenson Stone line. It's just he's not. So it's like, I don't know. I might have some like Glass, Pacioretty, Stone 3-mans, but again, and with the lines currently constituted, you like the Marchessault Carlson line. I like the Pacioretty, Glass, Riley Smith line. Yeah. If Riley Smith is in, because Riley Smith's 3,300. Like, he's not the player he was when, they took him away from the Panthers. But Cody Glass, 3,600, makes fitting Pacioretty in very easy. And you get the Glass and Pacioretty power play 1 time. You can get them in with Shea Theodore, 6,600. You won't be able to fit them with Edmonton or Colorado, but obviously if you're going to use them, you know that. So, yeah, for me, I'm probably going to be underweight on this game. And it hurts because I want to use the Knights here. It's just like these combos just aren't doing it for me. On the Duck side, I'm definitely gonna be underweight. I'll probably just have some one-offs like Zagreus is 2,800, Jakob Silfverberg 3,600. If you want to even go like in 150, you have a sprinkle of Anaheim too because they're fully correlated. That's fine. They're a cheap filler, but this isn't a very good matchup. I wish the matchup was a little bit better, but so underweight on the Ducks with some one-offs. Some Silfverberg, some Zagreus, some Getzlaf, and then the Pacioretty line on Vegas and some power play stacks. That's about it from this game, though.
Yeah, I mean, power play stack on Vegas. I was actually just putting that in the lineup builder and seeing how it looks.
Like
You could go.
Stevenson's on the top five right now.
Yeah.
They change up the line. Like, come on.
So you could go. I don't know. I think like hybrid stacks are probably the play. Like instead of Stevenson, you put in Tuck. You get 2 guys from the top line, 2 guys from that quote unquote second line. Glass Pacioretty. You get 3 forwards on the power play, and then you throw in Theodore. And so like, it's not perfect correlation, but you could see Vegas putting up like 5 or 6 goals here. If it's Ryan Miller or if Gibson has a bad game, because when he has a bad game, it gets really ugly on the Ducks side. So Vegas could certainly make them pay. They're well rested because they had a couple games canceled earlier in the week. If you care about that, but yeah, I just can't really choose a Vegas line, and luckily I don't have to because I can just play some of all of them. But yeah, I mean, I'm not treating the third line, that's the third line Fantasy Cruncher, like a third line. So like, I'm just kind of letting whatever rip on the Vegas side. Would love to get to a bunch of them. I wish they went back to their old lines so I could go very heavy on 2 lines instead of kind of being all over the place on 3 of them. Anything else here?
I like Shea Theodore as a one-off. Obviously, if you're correlating with power play, but he stands alone as a one-off.
Love it. You don't have to convince me. Canadiens and the Jets, Jake Allen and Connor Hellebuck are your goalies. I feel like I got this one kind of right the other night, and the result was terrible. So the high danger chances for the Jets at 5-on-5, they only had 6. Montreal had 11. So like when it comes to like getting quality chances, Montreal was very good at 5-on-5, as they should be every single time against the Jets. They just can't stay out of the penalty box. I think they had 2 or 3 goals on the power play the Jets did. Montreal's favored in this game. I really like the top line, but they're cheap, and so they're getting kind of more ownership than I thought. Do you have any interest going to other lines, or what do you think on the Montreal side? And then on Winnipeg, is it just power play stacking?
I think all 3 lines for Montreal are in play. I'm in agreement with you that top line's my favorite, as it usually is. Just their price is way too good. They're gonna see Adam Lowry, which is an okay defensive line, but like it's Adam Lowry, it doesn't scare me. So I think Joel Armia is on the second line now, right? Anderson's a game time decision.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I'm seeing Toffoli with Suzuki.
Toffoli? I guess we have to wait and see. But either way, it's advantageous, for Montreal. Like they're, no matter what it is, like their 5-on-5 matchup is going to be better. The Jets aren't very good defensively 5-on-5, just what it is. So like for me, Montreal won for sure. Like I want to get them in. I'd probably be over the field on them. I would imagine with Anderson out, maybe even Danault sees some power play 2 time, or 1B, 1A, 1B, whatever it is. Like they kind of, get even ice time. So yeah, Montreal 1 for me. Montreal 2 is okay. Like they're also cheap if it is Armia, or Armia, whatever it is. Drouin at 3,300 doesn't really do too much for me, but if you want to go Montreal 2, that's fine. Suzuki's price is down. Even this third line, like Kotkaniemi with Perry, like that's a nice 2-man that sees power play time if you want to get away from the ownership in this game. And then on the Jets side, I'm kind of off them 5-on-5, but the one Achilles heel for the Canadiens has been that penalty kill. They've been taking a ton of penalties. Jake Allen is in net. He's probably a better goalie at this point than Carey Price. So, but either way, like it doesn't scare me. So if I'm going to use the Jets, it's going to be some form of the power play. Scheifele Wheeler is an okay combo, but I imagine they're going to be way more popular. So for me, if I'm going to go Jets power play, I'm probably going to go to the second line, Stastny, Connor. If you want to put him with Ehlers, that's fine. Ehlers is up to 7,100. So maybe even, this could be a contrarian line to go to tonight, that Winnipeg second line, but I wouldn't falter for going Winnipeg 1. Dubois' price is coming up, but he's still there. It makes it manageable. But Winnipeg 2 for me is my favorite spot for the Jets. Montreal 1, and then sprinkle in some Montreal 2 and Montreal 3.
Yeah, I'm going to end up pounding my head against the wall when Montreal's taking a bunch of penalties this evening. but I'm kind of on all three of their lines, regardless of how they are. I mean, we know what the first line is going to be. We know Suzuki Duran probably going to be together, and then if Noah Anderson, actually, is Anderson out? He wasn't at morning skate.
Yeah, I believe he's out.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'll treat him like he's out anyways. So if Toffoli's with Suzuki, then you get full correlation with that second line. You know, I think that could be potentially a really good spot for Toffoli. And then Lehkonen possibly slides up with Kotkaniemi and Armia or Corey Perry. I mean, I don't know. I just think Winnipeg is going to get crushed at 5-on-5. Maybe not in shot attempts, but in quality chances. I think they're going to have a real tough time with Montreal. So I really like the Montreal side. And then I get the Winnipeg side. I definitely understand it. I just don't think I'm going to be on them very much. I'm not getting to a lot in crunches. Montreal's just a really strong 5-on-5 team. And one of these times they're going to take like 2 penalties instead of 6. And they're going to win the game like 4-1. And you know, I don't know. I think Winnipeg's going to have a tough time scoring at 5-on-5. And when that's the case on a big slate, I like to go elsewhere. Anything else here? We got a couple minutes left.
Weber's under 5,000, so I think, yeah, he's going to be more popular than Petrie. I think Petrie is a contrarian play, but I don't want to pay 6,200 for him.
I agree. Blues Sharks 3.1 implied total for the Blues, 2.5 for the Sharks. Binnington and Devin Dubnyk. Binnington's been awful, by the way. Cliffy said that a couple weeks ago. I feel like this guy has just been brutal so far this season. Potentially a chance to pick on him here. San Jose 1 is popular. Brent Burns is popular, but I'm with it. I really like the Sharks here. I don't like their total, but assuming no Parayko for the Blues, they've had a real tough time defending. No Tarasenko tonight. There was some talk that maybe he was coming back, but with that intro, what do you like in this game, Josh?
Yeah, so they broke up real quick. They broke up the O'Reilly-Perron combo. So, yeah, I really like this Couture-Kane-LeBanc line.
Heck yeah.
We're going to get sharked tonight.
Oh, yeah. Late-night hammer.
But also, Hurdle's out, so the Sharks' depth is just brutal. So, like, the Shen-Perron combo is something I want to attack too. And then, yeah, all in Pat on Brent Burns if you can fit him. I won't force him in if you have to, but if you have the space, Brent Burns.
I was kind of getting to a lot of Blues. I think I'm going to end up just limiting them to, you know, I'm fine being over the field on one or both of their lines, but I would not like to have like 15% of one of these Blues lines. I just have no clue. They don't have any clue what they're doing right now. Yeah, they're struggling defensively, offensively. So I prefer the Sharks here. I'm a little worried about the line because they're pretty big underdogs against what's been a pretty poor goalie and a team that's missing one of their key pieces on defense. But I'm rolling with the Sharks. Late night hammer, fully expecting line 1 to get me a cumulative 4.5 DK points tonight. But, you know, they will have their times where they go off. Real quick, we got a super chat. Robbie says, thanks, Jake, Josh, Vots, and Cliffy. Will the dogs bark for the Blues tonight? I haven't heard any barks. Who's your dog bark play of the night, though? You got one guy before we head out of here.
The dog bark play of the night.
Yeah.
Vander Kane.
That is a pretty good call. I'm scrolling through. I like, let me see my exposures here. Matt Barzal. I really like him. Or Anders Lee, you know. There it is. That's how we do it here at Awesemo.com. Great production, just on the fly. YouTube chat is going to have a ball with that. On that, we'll get out. Thanks, everyone, for joining. Cliffy and Josh will be breaking it down on Monday. Good luck until then.